Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Bishop Bryan Ouellette on this September 21st, 2018, coming to you live from the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains for a brand new edition of Vestiges of Christianity. We will be talking today about Roman Catholic elitism. There's been some things that have happened over the past week, very troubling things, very disturbing things, things that I really would rather not have to talk about, but nonetheless must be discussed openly and publicly. Stay tuned. Okay, thank you, everybody. I know that some of you are saying that the sound is a little bit loud. I can see what I can do about improving that a bit. Let me know if it improves at all. We are having terrible technical issues today. Unfortunately, it seems as though I cannot connect Joy Keeling into the broadcast. I can't even determine whether or not it is the Spreaker system or it's Skype. Those of you out there have been listening to this show for a while know I don't really like Skype. And everyone is saying it's loud. Is it better now? For those of you in the chat room, let me know if it is improving. I am trying to work on the settings here so that it hopefully improves. Let me know if it does not. I'll continue to make adjustments as needed. But yeah, I can't get Joy into the broadcast, so she's going to be in the chat room, and it's unfortunate because nothing's changed in my settings. It's still loud. Let me see. This is telling me that it's Skype. Not Skype. I'm sorry. This is telling me that it's Spreaker. Something's changed within their programming. Okay. It sounds like I'm right on the microphone. Now I'm. This is awful. It almost makes me want to wonder if I should even be doing the broadcast today. Okay. Well, okay. Let me know if this is better. According to my instrumentation, it's showing that my settings are optimal. But, Skype has been a problem, and now it seems like Spreaker is being a problem. Hopefully we can get it corrected by the next time we do a show, because this is unacceptable. It really upsets me because I have changed nothing. But every time you log into these programs, whether it be Skype or Spreaker, there's always this automatic update that you didn't ask for and you didn't request, and now, you get it, and then it changes something. And then you can't figure out what it is that they did, but it no longer works. So it says so Sister Maximilian in the chat room says it sounds like I am on a phone connection. Well, that's just unbelievable. Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on, but I'm glad the sound is a little bit better for you. Let me know if anything changes along the way. Okay? So, all right. So today we're going to be talking about Roman Catholic elitism. And this is a subject that really disturbs me because there's something that happened that hits very close to home with one of our clients that is in a completely unacceptable and terribly abusive display of religion. This is why those that hate religion the way that they do. This is why people who were once devout churchgoers or Roman Catholics have fallen away. This is why. You're going to find out. And I think you're going to be surprised at what I'm going to share with you today, because I was. Now, all of you should really know by now. If you're a loyal listener to this show, you know that the Roman Catholic Church, or what we refer to on this show as the Church of Rome, which is actually the more accurate term for it, really. If you want to get down to the historicity of the church in this context being capital C, then you know that the Church of Rome is a far better label than Roman Catholic, because the Church of Rome seems to think that they own the word Catholic, and a lot of Roman Catholics do too. They don't. There are many incarnations of Catholicism, not one less valid than the other. In fact, in the Nicene Creed, it refers to, we believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. If you notice, it's lower C. As Joy says, Catholic is an adjective, not a name. Exactly. Lowercase c, not referring to the Church of Rome, but referring to Catholicism, which means, in a sense, Catholic means literally universal. Okay? So even Orthodox Christians will recite the Nicene Creed where it says, we believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. Doesn't mean they're talking about the Church of Rome. But Rome thinks they are, apparently, allegedly, based upon what happened this week. I think they really do think they own the term. They think they have some kind of ethereal trademark on it, but they don't. Sorry, they don't own it. And so those of you who have been listening to this show for a long time should know that the Church of Rome and the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church are two different forms of the Church, capital C. Two different types of Catholicism, not one less valid than the other. We trace our lineage back through the Old Catholics. If you don't know who the Old Catholics were, then you should really do some Google of that term. Wikipedia has an excellent article that shows you how it came about, why it came about. And yes, it is a schismatic action, unfortunately. I don't believe in schism, but it happens. And sometimes they happen for valid reasons. Sometimes it is a gross abuse of power, and the only option to maintain the dignity of your belief system and your worldview and preserve the connection that one must have to the sacraments, schism becomes the only way to do that. And so I'm not going to sit here and argue that what happened all those years ago that led to the formation of the Old Catholics is a good thing. It's an unfortunate thing, however you look at it, that it had to be, but it had to be. And so the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church traces its lineage back through that. Of course, the Old Catholics are all valid. Even the Roman Catholic Church has made this very clear in several announcements. Go look it up, you'll see. Even the Vatican itself has validated us as a, how do they put it? A particular church, I think is the terminology they used, if I'm not mistaken. We're not in union is the only difference. We still have valid bishops. We still have valid apostolic succession. We still have valid sacraments. We are just not in administrative union with the Vatican. That's the only real major difference. There's a few minor issues, minor views of various aspects of how the faith affects us today. But no difference between us and Roman Catholic sacramental theology. None at all. Okay. I need to preface with this because what happened is going to be in direct violation of everything that I am now telling you. In other words, what happened should have never happened. And it happened out of gross ignorance. Let's just say ignorance. Okay, so if you've been paying attention to me on social media, you probably have noticed that I've been a little less available than I usually am. And you've probably noticed that, I've been a little bit more distant, not because I'm trying to be, but because I'm busy. I have a lot of work to do. And that work has been revolving around the preparation for a solemn exorcism for a client who is one of the worst cases I've ever seen. I'm not going to say it's the worst I've ever seen, but I will say it is one of the worst. And we've been working with this client for some time now. We've performed numerous exorcisms already, mostly minor ones, but nonetheless exorcisms. And then we attempted a modified version of the solemn rite to see if we could break this thing. It revealed its true nature that night, and it gave me a direction as to how to proceed, which now requires the full preparation for the full unaltered rite of the solemn rite of exorcism. Okay. This individual is Roman Catholic. She came to the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church because, lo and behold, the Archdiocese of Atlanta had no interest in helping her. She and her family made numerous attempts to contact various individuals within the Archdiocese of Atlanta, and her calls went entirely unanswered. Or if anybody did answer, nobody could give her any information, and she got sicker and sicker and sicker, to the point that, and many of these clients that we see have the same story, which is why I know this, not because I'm going out there looking for ways to bash the Roman Catholic Church. You know that I have defended it on numerous occasions, even when it is undeserving of being defended, because they would never do the same thing for us. But I do the right thing. I try to do the right thing. I was once Roman Catholic. I was a Roman Catholic seminarian. I was accepted by the Diocese of Palm Beach, Florida, into seminary to be a priest for them. I was in numerous, I discerned in numerous religious orders. I didn't come to independent Catholicism out of desire. I came out of necessity. But that's another story. And maybe one, if we have time later, we'll get into it. I don't want this to be a very long episode, perhaps no more than an hour, just so I can share this publicly and let you all know what's been going on. So we have this client who could not get help. So their family finds us. Fortunately, because of the publicity that we receive and, being out there in the public eye, we have been able to reach more people. And this is a good thing. So they find us. They come to us. We assess the situation. Okay. We start working with the client. And I don't want to go into too much detail. I don't want to give anything away that, I'm not going to give anything away that could identify who this person is. I want to maintain the dignity and confidentiality of the family. But they did give me permission to discuss what occurred. Well, eventually, after working several sessions with this client, we've come up with a new plan of action. We now know that we are dealing with something very severe, and it requires, the full preparations, as I said earlier. That means that we don't just jump right in whenever the client has a reaction or some kind of outward reaction to her condition, which is, of course, worsening. Part of that is because nobody's helped her until now. So it's been festering for a long time. If perhaps they would have helped her from the beginning, this would have never gotten to this point, but that's besides the point as well. Right now, we're just trying to do what we can to alleviate this situation and liberate her from this affliction. And so the preparations are extensive. We're trying to get some doctors involved, some psychologists. We're trying to secure a medical team because she's of advanced years, and people can die in exorcisms. We need to take these precautions for their own safety. And we want to make sure that they have all of the medical and psychological attention that they require before undergoing a solemn rite of exorcism. We don't just jump right into it. And so her symptoms have been getting extremely bad over the past several weeks. Probably in preparation because of what we are preparing to do. And it, on some level, knows this. The demonic influence that has a hold on her knows this in some way. And so things have been getting very bad. And so the family, being Roman Catholic, have had a contact, a friend, it seemed, who was a priest, a Roman Catholic priest, who was informed of the situation, knew what was going on, knew that she hadn't been getting any help, but knew that she found us. But he didn't know anything about us, apparently. Didn't know much about us. And so when they asked if he could help with the exorcism, he seemed agreeable to it. And the family, of course, was excited and told us. And we said, well, that's wonderful. Because certainly I am the only exorcist on staff in the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church. It's very difficult to find a person who's qualified to do this work. It's very difficult to attract members to become priests in the Nicholean Church when we do not pay salaries. This is an entirely volunteer staff. And, I could have a huge staff of clergy if I paid them, but we don't have the resources to do that. We just simply do not receive the donations that are required. People do not tithe like they should. People do not support this church like they should. It's as simple as a matter as that. And because of that, we have to stay on a volunteer basis, which means that we are without another exorcist on staff, and we really need one. But I have my exorcist assistants. Sister Mary Joan, as you all know from Ghost Adventures, is my direct assistant, and we're a very good team. And honestly, we really don't need much help beyond the two of us. But, if we had another priest and another priest on staff that could assist, that would have been wonderful. So we were excited about it. We were more than happy to work with him, and he seemed more than happy to work with us. So we left it off with the family during our last visit with them, that the priest would be coming over to their house, and they would discuss the plan of action so that we could set a date. Well, they came over. He came over. And saw the client in the situation that she had been in. Horrible, of course. It's a very bad case, as I said. Extremely bad case. Well, we gave Sister Mary Joan's card to the families to give to the priest so that we could set up a plan of action. And as soon as he saw her card, he dismissed it entirely and said, you don't want to deal with these people. They're not a real church. And they're probably going to make the matter a whole lot worse. Well, while he's telling them this, of course, the client is reacting very badly to him being in that house. So he decides to just sit there and watch her. He takes no action. Doesn't want to get involved. Just sits there and watches her like a dumb idiot. Does nothing. He's an ordained Roman Catholic priest and does nothing with a possessed person in his presence. Then he just proceeds to bless the house, which makes it even worse, of course. makes the client react even more violently, and he leaves. He was more concerned about discrediting us than he was with the client and her reactions. Pure apathy. Pure apathy. That's the Roman Catholic Church today. That's the Roman Catholic Church that I left. That's the Roman Catholic Church that led me to having to find a alternative option. Not because I wanted one, but because I needed one. And this is just one client's experience. We have had this happen on numerous occasions with different clients. Of course, nothing as extreme as this one, because this is a very unusually bad case of demonic possession. Full possession. Very close to full integration, which is extremely dangerous, and it's almost at the point of no return. And we needed his help. And instead of helping us in a spirit of ecumenism, at the very least, he was more concerned with discrediting us to the family. And so what options does he have in mind exactly when he says, oh, I wouldn't work with these people, they're not a real church? So what, the real church? That's who they should go to? Because they've been trying that and it hasn't actually done much for them. It hasn't done anything for them, in fact. Most people come to us out of desperation because all of their conventional channels don't work. Because the Roman Catholic Church doesn't want to get involved. And they're not qualified in many cases to get involved. Because their staff is incompetent, spiritually and otherwise. If I sound angry, it is because I am angry. It is absolutely unacceptable. When you take your vows and you accept the priesthood, you take on the responsibility to heal those who are sick. That trumps any kind of tradition, any kind of administrative authority. It trumps it all. And if you cannot hold up to that standard, you have no right to be a priest. He should be defrocked. He should be laicized for this. And the client continues to suffer. We will liberate her from this. We will do all that we can. But it would have been nice to have some extra help and support. This kind of elitism is a growing problem. And, it's not even happening with just us. It seems as though the independent sacramental movement would be a natural target for this, just on the basis of the fact that there is a lot of abuse within the liturgical abuse and theological abuse within the independent sacramental movement. There are numerous very questionable, dubious churches that have received apostolic succession but have not maintained the dignity of those principles that come with it. There's been some concerns of invalidity due to certain rites being practiced that are not valid. And, these things have been a thorn in the side of all of us who are in the independent sacramental movement. Because, honestly, there is a certain standard, and we have to live up to that standard. And we have no choice but to maintain it whether we agree with it or not. Receiving orders doesn't give you the right. Being part of some church doesn't give you the right to change Christianity for your own benefit, according to your own agenda. And so, those of us in the independent sacramental movement understand this, like the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church does. We yield to Rome on almost everything. Only those things that don't really have an impact one way or the other, or a difference of vision, sort of like differences that we see within the Orthodox churches and Roman Catholic Church. There are some of those. But, we don't dispute the validity, the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist, for example. We don't question anything Rome or the magisterium of the Church has decided about matters of faith. We accept, the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church at least, accepts the Immaculate Conception. It accepts the Assumption of Mary. I mean, if the magisterium has decided these things, we accept these things as matters of our faith. So our differences are more about how certain things are applied in the modern world. And, that's not enough of a reason for the kind of reaction that this priest had towards this family when he was in a position to help and chose not to, out of some kind of concern of authority. It had nothing to do with his own safety. Of course, he had no courage. He was a coward. No question about that. And perhaps he found it easy to hide under the fact that, I don't have the authority. I'm not an exorcist. Oh, all of a sudden you don't have the authority anymore. When you found out that it was the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church and not some Roman Catholic parish somewhere on the outskirts of Atlanta. Because that, you were ill-informed about that. Coward. But it's not just us. I see it all the time. We have a close. Our tradition is very close to the Eastern Church. In fact, I was ordained in the the Russian Orthodox tradition, and we used to have a very strong Eastern arm. Now we're almost entirely Western, with some carryovers of the Eastern Church that are still present within our liturgy and our the form that our liturgy takes. But overall, we're almost indistinguishable now from a Roman Catholic liturgy or Mass. But I still follow what goes on in the Eastern churches, and I see here that in the Russian Orthodox Church, they put in an article. I was reading this article. Joe Biden meets with fake Ukrainian patriarch, expresses his support for creation of autocephalous Ukrainian church. Fake Ukrainian patriarch. Why? Because you don't agree with them? You don't agree with their administrative authority? See, it happens there too. See, that's the tactic. Okay, when you can throw your weight around like a schoolyard bully, like the Roman Catholic Church does to all of the smaller churches like us. See, it makes you think that the way that you take care of it is by discrediting them. Make other people think that they're not valid. Make other people think that they're suspect. You don't even know. You haven't even studied it. You don't even know us. But it's easy to just make these statements like declarations, and you've got a clean conscience, don't you? Nice, clean conscience. Unbelievable. And you know what it does? It only has strengthened my own faith and conviction in the fact that I made the right decision all those years ago to pursue the ministry that I now have at the call of God. Because I can tell you right now, it was not my choice to do any of this. This is where my vocation led me. And God put me exactly where He wanted me to be. He ordained the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church to do what it does, possibly because He knows the direction the Roman Catholic Church is going, and He has to fulfill His promise to be with us until the end of the world. It's scriptural. It's a promise, and he doesn't go back on his promises. But he never said it would be with the Roman Catholic Church or with the Church of Rome, did he? As long as his presence is preserved within the sacraments of the Church somewhere, he fulfills his promise. And I think now, with all of the scandals coming out of the Roman Catholic Church, and people falling away dropping like flies, the need for a more humble and more pragmatic and more realistic and more authentic church is becoming a no-brainer for so many people, which is why we're starting to see it. It's unfortunate that where we are here in Atlanta, Georgia, being here in the Bible Belt of the South, there's not a lot of Catholicism to begin with. And what is here is not all that great, I can tell you. Sister Maximilian can tell you. There's a few good ones, but almost none. Okay? So we're not in a really great position. But people from all over the world, from places that are more Catholic, have larger Catholic populations, are always asking me, are there any Nicholean Catholic churches near me? And I always want to say, oh, I wish there were. But we only have one. There's only one in the entire world, and it's right here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And that's, again, because we just don't receive the support that we need to be able to grow. Even by our own people. It's just not enough. So we do what we can, and the way that this church operates is not like a traditional parish or eparchy or diocese. It's just a mission church. Very bare bones, and it does what it can for those it can reach. And that's it. That's all we can do. Which is, it has our hands are full. It's not like we're sitting around twiddling our thumbs wondering what to do. We have more than enough work to do. So, it's doing its job. But the perception out there, the lies, the slander, the libel, unacceptable. People know this, and they're coming to a realization of this, and they would want what the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church provides, assuming that there could be such parishes out near them. But, to give you an idea of the way that I operate, I don't even retain the Roman Catholics who come to me for help. I usually encourage them, after I've done what I could for them, I encourage them to return to their own parishes in the Roman Catholic Church and return to the sacraments. Do you know that the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church has brought more people back to their Roman Catholic parishes than I ever saw as a seminarian in the Roman Catholic Church? When I was, back then, all I saw was people falling away. And because of us, we're bringing people back. Not to us. Doesn't help us any. It's not like we're collecting all these new donations from new members. Not like we're trying to grow to steal them away from the Roman Catholic Church. No, we try to get them to go back. Because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what the Christian message is all about. It's not about what label you use. It's not about what administration you follow. Whose master are we? Who's our master anyway? Is it Jesus Christ? Or is it the Vatican? Aren't we all under the same master? I think so. I think so. I never wanted this church. The people sometimes accuse me. I've even seen, Google my name sometime and you'll see, you'll see people talking about, there's not many, but there was the one that I mentioned previously on this show about somebody that called me a fake bishop of a fake Catholic church. Same kind of strategy, same methodology that we're seeing here. Bullies in the bigger churches bullying around the smaller churches and discrediting them the way that they can by making other people feel that they're fake. So you'll see that, but there's not much of that. But what you'll also see, though, is that the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church, you'll see people claiming that I founded it, that I created it, I made it up. That's not correct. I actually had very little to do with the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church. It was, again, a tradition that was founded out of necessity, because the people that it was serving, at least at the time, were of a more mystical spirituality, but were fundamentally Catholic, or at the very least mystically Christian. And so there was no tradition to serve that population. So what they did, they just left the Roman Catholic Church altogether and just went it alone. And so many people do this. You hear the people say, well, I'm not a religious person, but I'm spiritual. And you'll hear people talk about how they don't need the church. They've got God. They can go directly to God. They don't need church. Yeah, that doesn't work. Sorry. It doesn't work that way. That's not the community that Christ built. That's not what the church means. There's no fellowship. There's no community support. And there's absolutely no sacramental support in such a system. And you need that, whether you think you do or not. Somebody on Twitter told me today that they, didn't believe in purgatory, and it's what you believe that matters. No, that's not how it works. I can guarantee you, whether you believe in death or not, you're still going to die. So you can be prepared for that, or you can remain in delusion and just sort of, drift into fantasy land. But this isn't Disney World, folks. This is the real world. And real things happen here. Okay? And spiritually speaking, there's responsibility that's required of us. And Christian responsibility transcends these labels, transcends this administrative bullshit. And it is bullshit. And I will not apologize for saying that. There is absolutely no other word to use. The way that I look at this elitist kind of mentality is the way that I look at how Jesus was constantly having to correct and more or less battle it out with the Sadducees and the Pharisees of ancient Judaism, which were the spiritual bullies of his day. Now it's the Roman Catholic Church bullying us around because we're the small guy on the playground. But they're jealous of us, just like a bully on the playground is jealous of the small guy. Why? Why? Because maybe you're a bully because life hasn't been what you wanted it to be, and you're angry about that? I don't know. There's all sorts of different reasons. I can't speak for all of them, and I can honestly say that there's a lot of good Roman Catholic clergy that actually do secretly support us. Not financially, of course, but they have sent people to us. And they respect the work that I do. And they respect the stance that I take. And I think they know that it needs to be taken. But no, I did not found the Nicholean Catholic Church, and I didn't create it, and I didn't have anything to do with its establishment. I filed its 501c3 papers, so it could become a valid charity. But that's only after I had been given, through appointment, administrative authority over it. I'm very upset that the sound is. Everyone keeps talking about the sound not being good, and I don't understand this at all. I'm not using any different equipment. I have no different settings. I'm not quite understanding this at all. But you know what? I've said what I've wanted to say. Vestiges of Christianity used to be a 45-minute show, particularly when it's just me on. And I don't know if there's really much more that needs to be said about this horribly troubling topic, other than let me leave you with the thoughts that I have in my mind. Don't be this way. For those of you who are Roman Catholic, stay Roman Catholic and fix the church from the inside out. Those of us who had to leave will fix it from the outside in. And maybe at some point we can meet each other halfway and be one whole, complete Christian community once again. Because that's the vision that I have. That's the vision that I live up to. That's what gives me hope and promise. None of this administrative crap. Share this podcast with anyone you see out there acting in the capacity of a religious elitist. Put them in their place. Don't let them get away with it. Until next time, this is Bishop Bryan Ouellette for Vestiges of Christianity, presiding bishop of the Holy Nicholean Catholic Church, telling you God bless and thank you all for spending this afternoon with me on this subject. We will not be airing anything next week. I and Sister Mary Joan have a very severe case out of the state, and we'll be leaving to take care of that case next week. So our attention will be on healing that family. Okay. But we will return, and hopefully by then all of these sound issues and setting issues and everything else will be fixed, and we can have Joy back on the show where she should be. Anyway, God bless. Take care. Until next time.